Hello folks, it is Grand Prix Sunday and we're at Hockenheim, and I thought that for this I would bring you along to the campsite here at Hockenheim. I first came here 15 years ago, about 15 years ago anyway, and I gotta say not a lot has changed in that time. It is still full of wonderful German fans drinking lots of beer, apparently at 8 o'clock in the morning. The music hasn't changed. It's still predominantly AC/DC, which is not a bad thing. And there's just a great atmosphere throughout the campsite. It's a really wonderful place to be. But it was here, 15 odd years ago, that I learned a massively important lesson about the power of sport and about the unifying nature of sport. And so for this vlog today, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So, this notion of sport being a uniting factor. I'm British, as you may know, and Brexit has done a weird thing to our country. It's kind of divided us for no good reason. Whether you believed in the notion of a rainbow-coloured unicorn steak or not, and are happy or sad that unicorns don't actually exist. Let's not get political. Let's move on. The fact is, it has given this very strange, I don't know, atmosphere in the country, but that all got forgotten for a couple of weeks during this summer, during the World Cup, certainly for the English part of the country, because we had something fun and something unifying and something that was good, and we didn't have to think about all of the politics and all of the mess. We could just kind of, enjoy the footy. And that's a really strong thing about sport. And it's a lesson that I had very early on in Formula One, the early years with my dad going to Silverstone, and you're there with different fans who represent different creeds and cultures and countries, and you're all there supporting different drivers. And it didn't matter whether you were there supporting like McLaren or Ferrari or drivers or whatever it was. Everyone got on. Everyone was just united by this love of the sport, and a move for 19th place was cheered as loudly as a move for the lead. That's just what the sport did. But my real lesson about unity and what sport does for people and the power of sport was here in Germany. The first time that I came to the Grand Prix as a journalist, and I was in these campsites, and I parked up and got set up with lovely German family, and every night we'd have probably far too much beer to drink, and we got talking. And what they told me about their love of the sport, but in particular their love of Michael Schumacher, is something that's really stuck with me for a long time. And this is how they explained it. You see, when Michael was coming to the fore in Formula One for the first time, it was early 1990s. And what you've got to remember about Germany at the time is that the wall had only just come down in 1990. For over 4 decades, this country had been, and I talked about Britain at the moment being, having this feeling of being divided. Germany was physically divided. And all of a sudden, it's a united country again. It's a unified country again. And Michael is the poster boy of that. He's this guy achieving all this success. But to the outside world, in the 90s, and I guess even into the 2000s, the notion of a strong, stable Germany was still quite scary to people. We listen to the German national anthem, and the majority of people in the world still think that the words to the German national anthem are Deutschland über alles. And it's not. You can't even get an Uber in Germany, not in this part of Germany anyway. Seriously though, it's not. The German national anthem now starts on the 3rd verse, and its first words are unity and freedom. The notion, Deutschland über alles, that doesn't exist anymore. That's not the words. But as they said, there is still this, or there was certainly at those times, there was this fear that if you were a drum-beating, flag-waving, German sports fan, that you were seen as scary because you were so proud of your country that it could potentially be seen as bordering on nationalism, and nationalism then takes you to the further reaches of where nationalism goes when it goes too far to the right. And they didn't want people to think that. They didn't want people to see that. And so rather than waving the German flag, they or cheering for Germany, they could cheer for Michael. And that's why the grandstands were so full. And then when he went to Ferrari, they found their banner, they found their flag. They could wave that red flag. They could dress in red. They could support Ferrari. They could support Michael. And in that way, show their love for Germany, because they were still too scared that loving Germany and being seen to love their country was scary to the rest of the world. I found that really sad, but I found a truth in it as well. And so you saw it. And when I was here in the campsite, what was amazing was that the Italian national anthem was played, interspersed with AC/DC, obviously, but it was played loud, and they'd even designed new words for the Italian national anthem based around Schumi and Schumacher winning. And that I found amazing. And when you come here now, you still see it. It's the Schumacher flags, it's the Ferrari flags, and maybe with Seb being at Ferrari now, it's like that part too. And whether you believe the whole truth of the story or their beliefs, that, you know, that's why Michael was such a unifying factor or not, I still think there's an element of truth to it. There's an element of beauty to that as well. And it shows the power of that man and what he means still to the German people and to German Formula One fans. You know, he gave them that ability to be proud in themselves and in their country at a time when they felt that maybe they couldn't. And yet here we are now, 20, nearly 30 years later, from Michael making his debut, and Germany is one of the strongest economies in the world. Yeah, certainly in Europe, maybe in the world. And yet still, those grandstands full of red flags, full of the Ferrari. Maybe for Seb, then there's an element maybe of, I don't know, sort of wistfulness in it, but it's lovely. It's lovely to come back. It's lovely to be here in Hockenheim. And that story has always stuck with me. And it shows the power of sport, which I think is an incredible power and something that we should never lose sight of, that this wonderful thing, this game that we play provides so much joy and can smooth out the edges and move past the divisions that we have in life, the petty squabbles that we have, and just give us something real and pure and honest and fun. And that's what sport should always be about. And that's what I learned.